Hi Primary 5, today we have a story session. As you know, our story is Grace Darling. We will start with chapter 2, page 12 with the name The Lighthouse. Before we start, we will revise some questions from the previous part. The first question here I have, where was the Forfarshire when the engine stopped? As you know, it was about 5 kilometers east of St. Abbs Head in Scotland. Where did Grace's brothers usually live? They usually live with them in the lighthouse. But as you know, in this time they were in Bamberg in the mainland. The third question, how old was Grace? Grace was about 22 years old. How was the room in the lighthouse? Upstairs, it was a small room that has no walls, just big windows all around. The fifth one I have, why did William Darling and Grace go up the long stairs of the lighthouse? They went to light the big oil lantern. Okay, let's identify some new vocabulary. I have mirror. The first one, mirror, it's a noun that means a piece of glass that you can see yourself in. The second one I have wreck. Wreck. This wreck may be a noun or a verb. If it's a noun, it means a broken ship. If it's a verb, it means to break something completely and damage it. Row. Row is a verb that means to move a boat with oars. As you know, the oars, they are pieces of wood in which we use to move the boat. I have then steam. This steam, it's a noun. It means hot, wet air. When we boil water, it changes into steam at 10 Celsius. I have then follow. This is a verb that means to go after someone. So if I said follow me, this means to go after me. I have stare, and it's a verb. Stare means to look at something hard, to look hard at something for a long time. Okay, so this is our new words today. Let's move to some new characters. I have Thomason. Thomason was Grace's mother and William's wife. She was a white-haired woman of 65. Okay, this is Thomason. Let's know what happened in this sport. As you know, in the last session, Grace went with her father upstairs to the room with the big windows that has no walls. Grace put oil in the big lantern in the middle of the room and William lit it. When the lantern was burning, the big silver mirrors started to move slowly around it. The rain crashed against the windows. You know, the weather was really terrible. So the rain crashed against the windows and the wind screamed like an animal in the night. William hoped the poor sailors will see the light. They also hoped there are no ships near the rocks. It's very dangerous, guys, for ships to come near the rocks because the storm will wreck any ship that comes near the rocks. Then they went slowly, Grace and her father went slowly down the stairs to the kitchen. Grace's mother, Thomason, was putting the supper. Supper, guys, it's a meal like the dinner. Thomason asked them if they saw any people, and she was very happy when they answered, no, we didn't see anybody. This is because her boys weren't with them in the lighthouse in this night. As you know, they were in Bamberg in the mainland, so they weren't with them, and William can throw a boat by himself in the stormy night to save them. So she mean if he saw any people, of course he can save them. But Grace, guys, refused this and said it's his job, mother. So he had to try to save these people by any possible way. Okay. Okay, let's move to chapter 3 and know what happens here. Now we are, as you know, we take a chapter in the lighthouse and the other one on the ship. So let's move back to the ship to see what happened on the ship. Our chapter is called The Engine Room. On the ship, Daniel Donovan was called by a young sailor, asking him, "Please, Mr. Donovan, can you follow me?" So he was asking him to follow him. The sailor opened a door. He and Mr. Daniel went down into a room that was very hot, and there were clouds of steam everywhere. Of course, you will guess it was the engine room. Yeah, you are right, guys. And there, in the engine room, a tall, red-faced man came up to him. He introduced himself, saying he was Captain Humble. So, guys, this is the second character I have. He was Captain Humble. Captain Humble. He was a tall, red-faced man. He was a tall, red-faced man, and he is the captain of the ship. He's a tall, red-faced man came up to him and introduced himself, saying he was Captain Humble, the Forfarshire's captain. Captain Humble asked Daniel's help because he was an engineer, as you know, guys. He told him that one of the engines had already broken down and the other one was working but very bad. It's working very badly. Then a big wave in this time hit the side of the ship with terrible crash. Daniel saw the engineer of the ship, the real engineer, guys. This engineer looked very tired and frightened. The engineer told Mr. Donovan that the engines had stopped. Why? Because they were too old, and showed Daniel the problems in these engines. Of course, the engineer couldn't mend them in the middle of the storm. Of course, can you mend engines in this stormy day in the middle of the sea? Of course he couldn't. So he couldn't mend them in the middle of the storm, saying that the ship must go back to the land again. So he said, "We must go back to the land." He said this, of course, to Captain Humble. As you know, it's a picture for Mr. Daniel and Captain Humble and the real engineer. As you know, this is Mr. Daniel Donovan and our engineer, the real engineer, and Captain Humble. Okay, guys, as I said, the real engineer said we must go back to the land. Do you think Captain Humble will agree with him? He will agree to go back? No, 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 of course no. He said that our ship is a new modern one. It can travel anywhere in any weather. And not just, but also our rich passengers wanted to go to Scotland, so that is we are going. Do you agree with Captain Humbles, guys, or the engineer? Until now, I don't know. Maybe Captain Humble is right, maybe the engineer is right, but we will know later. Captain Humble asked Mr. Donovan if he could help. Of course, like the ship's engineer, he said, "I could do nothing." So the captain became very angry. He pushed Daniel angrily away from him. So Daniel went outside of the engine room. He was badly frightened. His hands were shaking and it was hard for him to stand in this wind. In this time, Daniel looked at some sailors. These sailors were trying to put a small sail. But do you think, guys, this will benefit them? Is this something good for the ship? As you know, guys, it's a steam ship. It can use just the power of steam to move. It uses some engines to move. So can a very big ship like our Forfarshire move through a small sail? Of course no. So putting the small sail was no good, of course. So Daniel stared at the sea. He stared, as you know, I said it means to look with focus and hard at something, but he could see nothing but just black waves and black clouds. In this time there's no moon, no stars. It's the blackest night out there with no moon or no stars, just the waves and the clouds, and they are black waves and black clouds. This means this time the weather was very terrible. But guys, far away to the southwest there was a little light flashing on, off, on, off, and it was coming nearer, nearer all the time. Okay, this is end of our part. Okay, guys, I won't ask you some questions and you have to prepare them. What do you think this light is? What do you think this light is? What do you think it's coming from? Do you think this is something with benefit to them? It will be good for them, or it will never mind to them? This is what you will guess, and you have to join all the events we took in this point to know what is this light and where did this light come from. Okay, now guys, we will practice some questions. It will be your homework or your assignment, so you will prepare them. So I won't answer them, but just I will read them for you. First of all, what happened when the lantern was burning? This is the first one. What did William hope? This is the second one. What did they also hope? I mean here William and Grace. How was Grace's mother, our character? Complete. The space crashed against the window. The wind, space like an animal in the night. The third, it's the what of the nights out there. Let's go down to have our space. Okay, also I have another page. How was the room? I mean here, how was the room in the ship? In the ship, downstairs in the ship, not upstairs in the lighthouse, so pay attention. How was Captain Humble? This is the second one. The third one, what happened to the engines of the ship? The fourth one, why did the engine stop? The fifth one, why did Captain Humble call the engineer stupid? How was the sixth one? How was Mr. Donovan when he went outside? Express what happened to him. 7. Mr. Donovan stared out to the sea. What could he see? Then I have the complete question. As space hit the ship with a terrible crash. I can do space for these engines here. Go back to the what and what. You have to prepare these questions, so you have to read in your stories page 12 and page 13 and page 15, and if you want any help you can ask me later. Thank you guys, I was really happy with you. See you in the next session. Bye bye.